members of the royal family have joined bereaved families and survivors of the Grenfell Tower fire for a memorial for the 71 people killed in the blaze. A banner bearing a green heart and the word Grenfell was held aloft by mourners, who also clutched white roses and photographs of the dead as they left the memorial, held at St. Paul's Cathedral. The bereaved called on politicians to deliver justice. But, 6 months on from the blaze, how close are we to achieving such a sense of completion? Here are the central issues at play. 2 days after the disaster, the Prime Minister promised families would be rehoused within 3 weeks. In November, the Royal Borough of Kensington in Chelsea, RBKC, said every survivor would be able to move into a new home before Christmas. But Grenfell United, a support group of Kensington residents, said earlier this month 4 out of 5 families made homeless were still searching for permanent accommodation, while almost half face Christmas in a hotel. Leaving the memorial on Thursday, Mr. Corbyn told reporters, families who suffered in the fire should not be in hotels, should not be in bed and breakfasts. For goodness sake, we're the 6th richest country in the world, can't we house 400 families? Quote, even if the households still living in emergency accommodation are offered permanent housing soon, there are concerns residents will face more restrictions and less secure tenancy arrangements if they move elsewhere. Survivors continue to say they are not placed at the center of the probe into the tragedy, despite repeated assurances from its chairman Sir Martin Moore-Bick and the advisors who surround him. Core participant status has now been granted to 424 individuals and groups, which allows them access to evidence and the right to suggest lines of questioning. But it does not afford them decision-making capabilities. And survivors have petitioned the Prime Minister to appoint community representatives to the inquiry's main panel. Survivors of the disaster have also expressed anger that the scope of the public inquiry does not examine the broader issue of the government's social housing policy. On the weekend, the UK's human rights watchdog, the Equality and Human Rights Commission, EHRC, said it would launch its own inquiry into the disaster, which will look into whether the human rights of Grenfell Tower residents were violated. The probe promises to reveal whether the government failed in its duties to protect life and provide safe housing. David Isaac, chair of the EHRC, said, the Grenfell Tower fire has become a symbol of the inequality that exists in our country, from the right to life to the duty to provide adequate housing. There are several areas where the state fell short in its duties to its citizens, and these must be properly addressed. Quote, the Grenfell tragedy, in which plastic flood cladding spread flames between apartments, compelled the government to examine the building materials used in tower blocks across the country. We cannot and will not ask people to live in unsafe homes, Ms. May announced a week after the fire, but inspections revealed hundreds of blocks were clad in